spending some time right now on a study involved in, yeah, it's great women are being educated and earning, but are they leveraging themselves and turning that into investment power? And I would urge each and every one of you, even in your 20s, to take that issue seriously, to begin to invest, even if it's just a small amount, in your future, because it will give you the options and choices to do what you want with your life. So, what else? We're seeing that women are rewriting the rules of work, not just for themselves, but for everyone. Now, we know that women have always worked. It's not like we invented that concept, but most of the work was done in the home, and frankly, most of it was either, if it was out of the home at all, it was not well compensated, and if it was in the home, it wasn't compensated at all. And then the model that we've had of the workplace, up until most recently, has been that sort of 50s, man goes off to work, woman stays home and takes care of the family, and that was kind of the way the world worked. And what was great about it was that this clear division of labor allowed men to put in very long hours, which they did often, not worrying about their families. So it's created kind of an odd situation because we're no longer in that world. We're in the world of dual income families. And in fact, it's only the families that are dual income families that have in fact thrived over the last 30 or so years. So this new model puts a lot of tension on men and women, both of us, because the model just doesn't really work anymore. In fact, so many women have had such an issue around this that, in fact, one of the rules that we've seen be recreated is this whole idea of finding a job. Just finding a job, let's find a job. Instead, many women who have the capability are, in fact, creating their own job, becoming entrepreneurs. We see that women are, especially during the recession, women start businesses at nearly twice the national average. And in fact, many of them are kitchen table businesses, just to help out with the family's finances, but many of them are thriving businesses that hire employees. And during the recession, while large companies were firing people, women-owned companies were hiring people, helping to move us out of the recession. So entrepreneurial energy in this high-tech world that we're living in, especially here in the Silicon Valley, needs to thrive. And it gives women the opportunity to be creative and really try to do their own thing. What else are we seeing happening? We used to have this idea, if I'm going to win, you're going to lose. Now, this shows up in two ways. One was back in the 1980s, where you just had a few women in senior positions or being promoted at all. You felt like it was either her or me. So there wasn't a lot of mentorship between women, and that is really changing. The whole idea is that we're moving more towards a collaborative, a mentorship model. The other way that that affects things is that there are many men out there that have this sort of passive resistance to women being promoted. They feel like, she gets promoted, I don't. Whereas in fact, what we need to make clear to everyone is it can be a win for everyone. It makes things better for everyone. Now, I think I mentioned that I was part of this Wall Street Journal task force on women in the economy this past week, and there was some research just done that came out by McKinsey that we used as the starting off point for this task force. And one of the key pieces that we learned through this is the way women get promoted. Women get promoted based on performance. Men often get promoted based on promise. And this is really something that any way we can try to change this would be a good thing. The idea women love results, and in fact, every single person who I heard speak at this Wall Street Journal task force, we all said we work twice as hard as the men. But frankly, that's not necessarily the way the world works. This whole idea of sponsorship and mentorship is a very important component in the workplace. In fact, probably as important as that hard work that you put in. So that's the way the world works. If you know it, you can begin to create mentorships. And sponsorships are even more important than mentorships. Finding someone in your organization, a man, a woman, whatever, who believes in you and really helps germinate your career, move it forward. Yes?
I'm not sure if you explain the kind of group being mentorship
Okay, great. I'm going to save all the questions until the end, but I will answer that one right now. Okay, mentorship is, there's all these formal mentors. How many of you have ever been involved in a formal mentorship program? Yeah. The way those usually work is you have a mentor, not necessarily in your company, who is part of a program and meets with you on a regular basis, and in fact cannot get involved in your career, but can give you some advice and some direction and such. A sponsor is someone in your company, oftentimes someone who you report to or who your boss's boss's boss, who has taken an interest in your career and sees potential in you and wants to invest him or herself in your career and in moving you forward and offering you promotions. Oftentimes will bring your name up when promotions are mentioned with the idea that you have promise, not just performance. Make sense? Very important distinctions, though, which is, thank you for asking. Okay, so what else are we seeing? We're seeing that the whole family roles and responsibilities they're not changing overnight, but they are morphing slightly, really moving in a new direction slightly, and I think this is good news. Again, the idea that, anybody recognize that family, by the way? Leave It to Beaver. Yeah, we all watch TV Land. We see it, right? Okay, so for those of you who are boomers, let's see if you can name the names of the characters on that show. The little guy over there in the corner? Beaver. Yeah, and his older brother?
Wally.
Theodore, you can give his real name. Wally. Wally was the older brother, you're right. The dad? Dad, Ward. The mom? Yeah, we all know their names, but we don't even really know what Ward did for a living. Because, exactly, we know he left the house, went to work every day, and came home. And June had the whole house in order and the kids in order. That's kind of the way. And that, by the way, that was the primary family unit. There weren't any other choices, really. We have seen that that's not necessarily the case anymore. Still a very important family unit, but not the only one. The great thing about economic independence for women is it gives us choice. Suddenly we have all kinds of choices. Some people want to get married, some people want to be in a gay relationship, some people want to be partners, some people want to be independent. The idea is that one size no longer fits all, and it's okay. We have this opportunity to choose, which is great news. Now, what we're beginning to see, though, is that there is one kind of family that we are going to see more and more of that, and that is this multi-generational family, similar to what we see in this photo right here. Now, by the way, this is a real family, and it does represent what all of us are going to be experiencing to one extent or another. I actually took this from the New York Times several years ago, and it's 6 generations of one family. The matriarch of the family is 118 years old in this picture. That's Sarah Knaus. Her daughter, Kitty, is 95. Her grandson, Bob, 73 years old. Her great-granddaughter, Kathy, is 49. Her great-great-granddaughter, Christina, is 27. And little Bradley, the great-great-great-grandson, 3 years old. So this is one family. They're all alive at the same time. They're all involved in each other's lives. They may not live near each other. They may not even like each other. But they are involved, especially when it comes to money, health, and real estate. This is our future, especially as women. I mean, 82% of all caregiving to elderly adults is provided by daughters and daughter-in-laws. So this whole idea of the sandwich generation, it doesn't even begin to describe what many of us are going to be living through with this long lives that we're all going to be living. One of the people I interviewed for my book was an executive at Charles Schwab, and she put it very interesting. She said, I feel like it's not a sandwich, it's like a triple-decker with the cheese and the tomatoes melting out the side, so that it's a total mess. We've come up with another way at our company to think about it. We think about it as a kind of Rubik's Cube. Complexity of a Rubik's Cube. And let me give you an example. Let me use a real woman. Let's call her Lisa. She's 52 years old. She's married. She's got a great job. She's got a great family. She's done some great financial planning. She takes care of her health. She's in great shape, right? Well, she's had a few curveballs come her way. For one thing, her daughter decided to get a divorce. She never worked. Her daughter has a child. When she gets a divorce, she's decided she has to move back in with Lisa and Lisa's husband because she has no money and no place to go. So she's moving back in. In addition to which, Lisa has a son who's kind of a deadbeat. He's never really gotten his career track together, so she's always slipping him some money and trying to take care of him, you know, giving him a membership at the health club or whatever. In addition to which, Lisa's parents are beginning to fail. They're in their 80s and her mom has early stage Alzheimer's and they're not sure, are they going to have to move into some kind of assisted living and who's going to pay for that? And in addition to which, her in-laws, her father-in-law is no longer alive, but her mother-in-law just fell, broke a hip, and is in rehab. Who's going to pay for that? In addition to which, during the recession, Lisa's sister and brother both lost their jobs and need a little bit of financial help along the way. And by the way, this is not an uncommon scenario. So the complexity is one of a Rubik's Cube, and it's one that we don't often plan for or even think about in advance. So it comes as this curveball to us, rather than us thinking ahead, okay, we are part of a multi-generational family. We may not live in the same place, but we have a responsibility here. What else? We're beginning to see as women change, men are changing along with it, and this is good news for women and for men. Today, men are 3 times more involved in childcare than back in the 1970s. By the way, not so much into household care, but when it comes to child care, they love to get involved, especially younger men. In fact, many younger men that we interviewed said that they felt sorry for their boomer parents, fathers in particular, because they weren't as involved in their family as they should have been. But that's all changing, and it's changing quickly. As women get more involved in earning, men get more involved in the family.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much.
So we've always, especially in the workplace, and I know you're going to be focusing a lot on the workplace this afternoon in different breakout sessions. In the workplace, they always used to take this issue of child care and elder care as well and make it a women's issue, which kind of relegated it off to the side, and it really had a negative effect on your career and such. But the good news is that as these roles of breadwinner and bread maker become less gender specific, it's becoming more of a family issue. That's good news, because if companies begin to focus on it as a family issue rather than a women's issue, it will get more play in companies. Just as an example, Microsoft insists now that that their employees in their company, both the men and the women, take maternity and paternity leave. Because what they found is if only the women took it, then it affected their job in a negative way, their ability to be promoted in a negative way. And what they've discovered is both men and women really appreciate it. It improves their productivity and makes the workplace a friendlier environment, not just for women, but for women and men.